Yes, sir, man. We're back at it again with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel video. And you already know what the vibes is today, man. I'm bringing y'all my Utopia deck / combo tutorial. Now, of course, y'all went crazy in the previous video asking, can we get a deck profile and, of course, the combos as well. And I really do appreciate it. Y'all showed so much love to that Utopia video. I really appreciate it. So, of course, you know what I'm saying? I got to give the people what they want. Now, the one thing that I will say about this Utopia deck, I love it so much. It got me to platinum, but I also de-ranked with it in platinum. Not because the Utopia deck is bad. It's just that there's a lot of sweaties in platinum. I can literally smell them through the screen. Like, that's how bad they stink. But this deck is definitely fire. So, of course, I'm going to show y'all my deck profile. So I'm going to go over every single card individually, just kind of explain why they're in this deck. Not all 40 of these cards are mandatory. There are some flex spots, and whenever I get to that flex spot, I will tell you guys like the other options you can choose. It just really depends up to you. But for the first card that we're going to go over is Astro Karibo. Now, what this card does, literally all you need to know, it's a free extender. It copies one rank monster's level, and literally you just supposed to summon that out. Usually it's going to be one of the level 4s that you have, and all the level 4s in this deck go from this Utopia card all the way over to Utopic Sage. Doesn't matter which one you choose, as long as you choose a rank 4. We have Max C at 1, just because I hate this card. I hope it gets banned next season because this card is insane. We all know what Max C does. But the reason I have it at 1 in this deck is for Cross-Out Designator. It's the same for the Bureau, as you guys can see, it's at 1. And I have Ash Blossom at 3, just because I am a Platinum, and Platinum, bro, it's the sweatiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, it's insane how hard people be trying in Platinum. But Cross-Out Designator, mandatory, super important. You want to play in this deck. Even in, like, any other combo decks, you want to have Cross-Out Designator, because what this does, you can banish one card from your deck, and your opponent cannot use that card that turn. So usually, orders of importance when it comes for Cross-Out Designator. I banned Nibiru because Nibiru, as you guys saw in the previous video, it is insane going against this deck.
Only monsters that's not counted in when they in that field is, you know, like it's pendulum monsters.
Oh, Nibiru, you bitch! Because by the time your whole combo's over, you've gone through 12 of your extra deck and special summon 3 monsters from your main deck. So you'd have been got hit with Nibiru a long time ago. But if you think your opponent doesn't have Nibiru, you can either do Max C or you can do Ash Blossom. It just really depends on the situation that you're in. But usually what I do, like I said, I go Nibiru, Ash Blossom, and then the last one I hit is going to be Max C. Now, we have the 3 Ash Blossom, like I said. We have Gigantes. This is literally just another extender in the deck, just like Astro Karibo. All it does, it banishes one Earth monster from your graveyard, and you can special summon it. This card right here, important, mandatory, at 3. Heart and Soul of your deck, it gets all your plays going. The same for this card right here. Make sure you have this at 3. Super mandatory. Literally, if you get Ash Blossom, right, because usually the interactions with this card is special summons out your whole hand, and that's how you get your whole plays going. But people, they Ash Blossom this, and then if you get Ash Blossom, you can special summon this, because what happens is if you already have that card on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand, and every single time, I promise you, if you get Ash Blossomed, make sure you always go into this card. This card is insane. Literally a free stall for 3 turns. That's all it does. Yeah, that's pretty much those 3 cards. This card, you can put this at 3. Me personally, I have it at 2, just because like whenever this is in your graveyard, this card right here also can special summon this back from the graveyard. So it's kind of like at 3, but it's really at 2. This card, we have it at 1, just because like I try to play around a lot of hand traps, especially like Effect Veiler and Ash Blossom, because usually the main card that they're going to Ash Blossom is this. So what happens is if you only control one level 4 monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Simple as that. This card is at 3, definitely mandatory. You want to have this at 3. You can. I've tried it at 2, but I was more successful at 3. And the reason I said I tried it at 2 is because this card right here, it also special summons that card that we were just at from the deck. So usually with this card, what you want to do, as you can see, if you control no cards, it's a free extender, which is why I put it at 3. Once I realized that, that's why I put it at 3. But whenever this card is XYZ summoned with the Utopia monster, you add 1 rank up normal spell from your deck to your hand, which is the only rank up spell we play is this. The reason we play this is to get into Utopic Dragonar, and we're going to talk about that more once we get to the extra deck. But yeah, I highly recommend that you play this at 3. 2 or 3, doesn't matter, but me personally, I choose 3. Astrotopia, definitely mandatory. You want to have this at 3. The reason I say that is you can add 1 card from your deck to your hand, whether that be an XYZ, Onomod, Zexo, Number Spell, Trap. And usually what you're going to add from your hand, it kind of depends on the situation. In terms of order of importance, mandatory, you want to add this. This card is literally an Omni Negate for a trap, and it comes back whenever a number monster is going to be destroyed. It brings itself back from the graveyard after you use it. So this is definitely mandatory in terms of order of importance. If you already have this in your hand, you can add this card, or you can add one of these or one of these. It doesn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? Just the order of importance, you always want to make sure that you add this card off of Astrotopia. This card is kind of like one of the flex spots that I talked about. You can have this or something else, any other ZW monster. I just like this one because it allows Dragonar not to be destroyed, and he also gives him 1,200 attack points. So usually by the time your board ends, you're going to have these two equipped monsters, and this one right here, super mandatory. You want to have this because at the end of your board, you're going to have this monster right here, which is a monster negate. You're going to have it equipped to this one, which means that this card right here is going to have 2 negates on it, and you equip the other ZW monster to this one. So that's kind of why the reasoning why I have this card right here. Like I said, Nibiru, we talked about it earlier for crossout. Upstart Goblin is kind of like a flex spot. You could choose whatever, but I like it because this deck doesn't really have that much draw power, and the only draw power that you have is from XYZ Change Tactics, and I kind of don't like the trade-off, so I'm still kind of experimenting with it. But usually, right, you only have 4 Utopia monsters in your deck, so you're going to get 4 cards from drawing, but you pay 2,000 life points for that, so I kind of don't really like the trade-off, so I'm kind of still thinking about taking that out, but this is kind of one of the flex spots as well. Reinforcement of the army is definitely mandatory. If you don't have this card in your hand, always use Reinforcement of the army to get this monster. If you have this in your hand, you can just add this monster right here or this one. It doesn't really matter which one. Now, these 3 cards, mandatory. This allows you to be able to search for one of these, or one of these. It just really depends on the situation. But mandatory order of importance, definitely once you use this card, you're going to always want to add this card, and always that's the first card you want to always add. The other one doesn't really matter. It can be one of these or it can just be one of these. Doesn't really matter, but always want to add that card. This card, like I said, it's at 1 just because of Astrotopia. Now, like I said, I talked about Astrotopia. You can add it from your deck to your hand. Add this one, and then when you add this one and you use it, you shuffle 1 card from your hand back into your deck, and you get to add another ZW monster. So usually I like to add one of these, or you can add one of those. It doesn't really matter which one you add, but that's just like another search card for another extender. I already talked about the rank up spell. I already talked about this. This is very important. You want to have this at 3, mandatory. What this does, you can add 1 other Onomod card from your deck to your hand, and usually off of this, always, if you already have this in your hand, you can add it anyway because you can send 1 card from your hand to your graveyard. So you can just send another copy of this from your hand to your graveyard and just activate that. But if you already have 1 in your hand, or if you don't have 1 in your hand, off automatic pickup, you want to make sure you get that. These are like 2 cards that have so much synergy together. You always want to add this card off of this one. Double or nothing, we wanted at 1 just because, you know, who does want a monster with 5,000 attack? And as you guys saw, double or nothing won me the game last time.
Utopia, use your effect. Detach. Double or nothing. No. Double or nothing. Yes. Don't. Let's fucking go, nigga!
We already talked about cross out, and we already talked about numbers protection. So it's kind of the main deck. The only flex spots that we had was upstart. I'm kind of thinking this is a flex spot, but I mean, draw power is always cool. And then the other flex spot was it is kind of a flex spot, but I mean, Astrotopia searches for it. So those 37 cards, all the ones I said weren't flex spot, they're definitely mandatory. So you definitely run those. This deck, I'm telling you, is insane going first. Going second, if you resolve combo, you're still insane, but it's kind of hard going second with this deck. Not saying that it's bad, but like you're gonna have to work way harder to get to where you want to get to going second. Now, Utopic Future, this is very important because 2 XYZ monsters with the same rank except numbers monsters. And what this does, when you overlay into this, you can overlay into Draco Future. This is going to have 3 materials on it, and every single time your opponent uses a monster effect, you can steal that monster and put it on your side of the field. So your end board, right, is going to be Dragonar, it's going to be Draco Future, going to be number 38, and it's going to be Leo. That's going to be your end board, and super hard for your opponent to get through that. I'm telling you, this right here is a spell or an effect activated. You can literally negate that effect. This is a spell negate. You got a monster negate with this one. You have a monster negate with that. So that's 2 negates on your board, and you have a monster steal with Draco Future. The Utopia, one of these are for the Utopia double target. The other one is just kind of for follow-up for double or nothing. Utopia Prime is literally, you don't even need to know what this does. It's literally just an overlay target. When you overlay into this, you use the rank up spell to overlay into Dragonar, and that's how you have the 2 materials that attach one monster to special summon another XYZ monster for your deck. So by the time your combo ends, you're going to have 4 materials for Dragonar, and you get to special summon out 2 more XYZ monsters from your deck. This right here, this could be whatever you want. I just chose Tornado Dragon just to get rid of spells and traps, and it kind of has synergy because whenever I bring out Tornado Dragon, I can use this to overlay, and then I could go into Utopia Future. So it doesn't really matter as long as you have 2 rank 4s out that aren't numbers monsters. You can always go into Utopia Future, but like the main 2 4s that I always bring out is Utopia Sage and this monster right here. But yeah, Babushka, you can use that as well. Utopia Double, it literally just gives you the double or nothing, but this is part of your main combo, so you always want to make sure that you go into Utopia Double with this card. I can't stress this enough. If you have this card in your field, always go into Utopia Double with this, because it adds the rank up spell. If you don't, you're not going to add the rank up spell to your hand, and it just fucks your combo up. This card, it literally just adds the extender that we talked about earlier from your deck to your hand. This card, what this card does is that whenever this is XYZ summon, you can attach 1 material and special summon 1 ZWZS monster from your deck. So usually the card that you're going to target is going to be the Ascendant Sage, and that allows you to continue to combo. Utopia the Lightning is here for follow-up, and this is mandatory. This is mandatory number 38. It's insane. What this does is that you can negate spells, and whenever an opponent attacks a numbers monster, which is literally going to be your whole deck, it redirects the attack to this. And the synergy between these 2 cards is insane, because whenever a monster attacks, literally it drops it down to 0, and number 38 is going to rearrange the attack to itself, so your opponent is going to take 3,000 damage and they lose a monster. And of course Zeus, because this shit is AIDS, bro. I come on, you know what Zeus does. So that's pretty much all the extra deck, all important. So now we're going to move over to the combo part. So now we're in solo mode, and I'm just going to show you guys some combo routes. The combo routes is only 2 of them. It really depends on my first 5 cards. The first one is super straightforward. The more you practice with it, you'll definitely get good with it. Now this hand right here, we're not going to be able to go into our main combo route. We're going to go into our second combo route. So what we're going to do is we're going to special summon this, use Astral Karibo's effect, and then we're just going to reveal 1 rank 4 in our deck. Don't matter what it is. We're just going to put that in face-up defense position. Now, this is where I talked about earlier, where you go into this card. If you only have 2 monsters on the field, you can just go into this card and just pass your turn. This card is very powerful, because what it does is in face-up defense position, it's going to change all your opponent's cards from attack position to face-up defense position, and it's going to negate their effects. So you just end your turn, pass turn. This card allows you to stall for 3 turns because there is 2 materials under it, but the materials don't go away unless it's your standby phase. So this allows you to stall for 3 turns. Now, this is why this card is so good. Like, you see that? He just used that. He's going to normal summon. He's going to bring out a ritual monster. It is what it is. But what's going to happen is when that ritual monster comes out, it's going to get negated. It's going to go into defense. It's not once per turn, so it just sends everything defense. I love this card. So now the main thing that's important, first off, it depends on what this draw is. Okay, this draw is terrible. You love to see it. But what you would want to do for this, right? Let's just say this is like any other card, right? If you ever have this card out, make sure you change it to attack position. Because if you change it to attack position, this card is not going to change your monsters to defense position. If you have this in defense position and you put your monster out, it's going to change your monsters to defense as well and negate your own effect. So you always want to make sure you put this in attack position. And then boom, we'll be able to do full combo. We can't do full combo because Konami hold us. I can't tell y'all the amount of times that I had to keep surrendering just because my RNG is that terrible. Please let this be the one. Please let this be the one. The first 5 cards, okay, we could do something with this. This is not bad. All right. So now, just in case your opponent has like an Ash Blossom or something, you're just gonna go ahead and special summon this out, right? Just sit that on the field. We're good. Now, what we're gonna do, we're gonna use Reinforcement of the Army. Use Utopic Onomatopoeia. Get that one. Now we have Chain Tactics, Onomatopoeia, Onomatopoeia. So what we're gonna use first, right? This is goes to show you like whenever you have this card in your hand, you use this one first, add a card from your deck to your hand. You can add another Onomatopoeia for follow-up on the next turn. That's usually what I like to do. And then with the Onomatopoeia, we activate that. And this is gonna let's send one card from our hands to the graveyard. Honestly, I'm gonna send the Chain Tactics because it doesn't really matter which one we sent, as long as it's not this card. We need this card. So any other cards that you have in your hand, you can just send to the graveyard, whatever cards you don't need. So off of Onomatopoeia, the rule of thumb is whenever card you don't have in your hand out of these three, you add those two, if that makes sense. So since we have this in our hand, we're gonna add this card, and then we're going to add this card. And vice versa. We didn't have this card in our hand, we would have added this and like that one, if that makes sense. So whatever card you don't have in your hand, just add the other two. So we're gonna normal this, activate this effect, to special summon out this and this. Now there's gonna be three routes that we're gonna go. We're just gonna go to the Utopic Dragonar route first. So what you're gonna wanna do, use Utopic Sage. Now this is very important to continue your play. You wanna make sure that you use this as XYZ material and this is XYZ material for your Utopic Sage. Just put them up there. It doesn't really matter where you put them at. I like to put them up top just to go ahead because there's going to be more special summons we're doing. The reason that we chose those two, because when we detach an attachment from this, we're going to detach both of these. Now, since those are in the graveyard, well, first off, the effect of this allows us to special summon this. Since we already have this on the field, we don't really need to have another one, so we can just do this. And this kind of goes to show like the kind of like flexibility with that. Because if you don't have this on the field, you're always going to want to use the effect of Sage to bring out this monster. But since you already have it on the field, you choose this one, if that makes sense. So since we have this effect activation to be activated, we activate this and we can target one of these monsters in our grave to special summon. Usually I choose this one just because you bring this back and then this allows you to use this graveyard effect to bring itself back. Now, obviously, we'd have been hit with Nibiru. It is what it is. But, you know, this is for educational purposes. Now, from here, we go into this monster. And we use this monster. And as long as it's not this monster, you can just go use whatever ones that you want to use. Like I said, you always want to use the Ascendant Sage for a Utopia monster. I can't stress that enough. If you don't, you mess your whole combo up. So, what we're going to do is activate the effect of this. Add one rock monster to our hand. Detach whichever one it was, it doesn't really matter. Now this gives us the option to add a Nibiru, this monster, or this monster to our hand, but we're always going to add this one. Always going to add this one. If you draw this in your hand, then in that little pop-up screen you can add the Nibiru. But we're going to special summon this by banishing this from the graveyard, put that in phase of attack. Now what you're going to do is, I just realized this, I'm definitely messing up. But, well, I'm not messing up. It's just that for Lightning Storm, you're always going to put all your monsters in defense position. Just put them in defense position. The best thing you can do. Because Lightning Storm, it only affects monsters that are in attack position. So if you put all these in defense position, you'll be straight. Because there's a card, or by the time your combo ends, you're going to get out number 38, Harpoging Dragon. And once you get that out, you can negate Lightning Storm. Or any other spell like Rengeki and stuff like that. So it's going to put Draco Future up there. Now that combo route is done. So the next combo route that you're going to go is Utopia Double. Choose Utopia Double. Make sure you always use this for Utopia Double. I can't stress that enough. Use that for Utopia Double. Doesn't matter the other monster. Just put it in defense. And then we go into Utopia Double. Then we activate Sage's effect because Sage's effect gives us the rank up spell. We activate the Utopia Double's effect. We detach material, doesn't matter which one, and then that's going to search us the rank up magic spell from our deck to the hand and double up nothing. So we add that, and then we're going to use off of double or nothing, we're going to go into Utopia. Always go into Utopia. I don't know why won't let me choose a spot. It doesn't really matter what spot it is, but, you know, Even though I put it in attack position, it doesn't really matter because we're about to get rid of it anyway. So we're going to add this to our hand because we use the Sage to bring this to our hand. Now, off of Utopia, you go into Utopia Prime. Just put it back in defense. Doesn't really matter. Off of Utopia Prime, you're going to use this rank up spell. And this rank up spell is going to allow you to bring out the boss monster of the deck, which is Utopia Dragonar. You always want to make sure that Utopia Dragonar has 4 materials. If he doesn't have 4 materials, you messed up somewhere. The reason that we have 4 materials is because it allows us to special summon 2 XYZ monsters from the deck. You don't have to use this effect just yet. So you can go into another card. To me personally, I would love to go into this just to like stall for 3 turns from my opponent. But like, you won't be able to use the Dragonar's effect because this also affects your own monsters. So just go into Tornado Dragon. It's fine. Put that in defense. I hate Lightning Storm. The fact that I had to do all this for Lightning Storm is insane. So what you're going to do is now you're going to activate this effect of Utopia Dragonar. Just detach 2 materials. Ooh, almost clicked that. Almost fat finger. We're going to put that in defense position. Always choose Ultimate Leo Utopia Ray off of the first Dragonar effect, because during your opponent's turn, you're going to be able to bring out the Dragonar, or not Dragonar, but number 38. No, I said Dragonar. But yeah, so when you do that, you're going to be able to use the rank up spell and attach to Leo. And when you use this, you activate this, and then you're going to equip a ZW monster from your deck to your monster. So you're always going to want to always equip this monster. The reason that I say that is because this gives Leo 2 negates. So our board right now, we have a monster negate, 2 more monster negates, and then we have a spell and trap negate with this. So this is going to be our first end board, and we're just going to end the turn. And doing our opponent's turn, now this right here, right? This would be a good place. Like, why reason I put them all in defense is because of Lightning Storm. So Lightning Storm won't be able to affect us. But what we're going to do is we're going to use Dragonar's effect. We're going to activate this effect. We could have used Tornado, or if we use this first, right? And we could use Tornado to chain block to make sure that our Dragonar effect goes off. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do, just to show you guys. Always want to make sure that this effect right here resolves. So you want to activate that one first, and then activate that because it's in a chain. And when, of course, if anyone does not know what chain blocking does, if that gets Ash Blossom or something, Ash Blossom is going to affect their Tornado Dragon, right? So off of the Dragonar effect, this is where you special summon Hope Harbinger Dragon. You're going to put it in defense because, you know, Lightning Storm, right? You got to love it. So you put this out in defense. So this is going to be the actual end board of the Utopia deck. Now, when you bring out number 38, it's going to attach itself, or that card is going to attach itself to number 38. And what this does is that whenever your opponent attacks, whenever your opponent attacks, you can change the attack to this monster. But what Dragonar also does, it drops down the attack of that monster to 0. So they're going to crash into this, and if this was in attack mode, they would have lost 3,000 life points. But now I'm just going to show you guys the, what is this? Hold on. When this is normal summon, add 1 ritual monster from your deck to your hand. So what you can do is, if you don't really need to use it now, you're going to have 2 effects. And also, while this is attached to this, you can negate a monster effect. You don't really need to use that. You just save your negates, because when your opponent, if the bot does what I think is what to do, it should ritual summon here. Yeah, it's going to ritual summon. So we're just going to wait for that monster to come out. And these animations take forever. Goodness. Wait for that monster to come out. It's going to activate an effect. So when that monster activates an effect, you can use Utopia Leo Ray, or you can use Utopic Draco Future. It just depends on like the situation that you're in. But you can steal that monster. So this is what Draco Future does. You detach one material. You're always, the first material that you're going to detach from Draco Future is this one. Because whenever you be destroyed, right, you can banish this card from your field, from your graveyard instead, and it won't get destroyed. Simple as that. So you always want to do that first. So we're going to snatch the ritual monster, right, negate its effect, put it on our field. So now he's going to use another effect from the hand. So this is when Leo's effect will activate. If you choose to activate it, you can negate the activation, right? and you're going to negate the activation of the monster that's on the field. So Leo only negates the monster's effect that's on the field, but he's still going to be able to ritual summon. It is what it is. It doesn't really matter. Not that deep. But he's going to put it in attack position. And we can also have another effect that we can negate with the equip. So this, we already used one negate for this, and this also has its own negate as well. So we're just going to use that to negate. And he ends his phase. And these are once per turn. So you're going to have 2 negates once per turn. So then this is where, right, you would just change to attack position, change to attack position, change all these attack position, and this is game. It's literally game. There's no way that anyone is going to play through this, because what the bot didn't do, the bot didn't attack. I don't blame them, because they wouldn't be able to destroy it anyway. But like, let's say this would have attacked me, number 38 would have redirected the attack to itself, and Dragonor right here, he would have dropped it down to 0, and they would have went to 3,000. So that's pretty much going to be this Utopia deck. I love it so much. It's really good. Super good going first. Like, this board is insane. As you guys can see, I interrupted my opponent a lot. And if we actually had a really cracked board, we would have had numbers protection. I don't think I have it in the graveyard, but that is also another Omni negate for a trap that would have just stopped my opponent. So the way that this board is, usually you're going to have this board, but if you have numbers protection, you're going to have Omni negate down here for trap, one negate with this, another negate with this, a spell and trap negate, a monster negate, and another spell and trap negate, and then you're going to have another negate. Well, not really a negate, but you're going to drop your opponent's monster to 0 with that. And the beautiful thing about this is that, let's just say, right, we attack with Tornado Dragon. Don't really need to activate those. We could have did more damage to our opponent, not that deep. But in main phase 2, if we want to threaten our opponent's board even more, as you can see, we have Zeus. So what we would do is, right, we don't need Tornado Dragon no more. We just put Zeus out, and then literally this board, insane, bro. I'm telling you, insane. We have a whole board white with Zeus. We have a negate that drop, well, not a negate, but a interruption that brings our monster's attack down to 0 whenever we're getting attacked. Going to redirect into this, that's 3,000. A monster snatch, and then we have 2 negates with that. Like, this is insane. That's pretty much going to be the end of this one, though. If you did enjoy, I know this was a long video, so I appreciate everybody that stayed towards the end. And if you guys want to see more deck profiles, I have other decks like Dragon Link, Virtual World. I'm working on this Odd Eye / Pendulum Magician one right now that I definitely want to make a video on. So you guys got to stay tuned. But other than that, it's been the kid Proxiius, and I'll catch you on the next video.